I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alan B. Shepard Jr. began his military career after graduating from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1944 during World War II. He served aboard the USS Cogswell in the Pacific before attending flight training. By 1947, Shepard was a qualified naval aviator. He quickly proved himself as a skilled pilot and eventually attended the U.S. Naval Test Pilot School in 1950. His performance and leadership earned him rapid promotions. By the late 1950s, he was a commander in the Navy, highly respected and exceptionally experienced when he was selected for a new and unprecedented challenge, Project Mercury. In 1959, Shepard was chosen as one of the original Mercury 7 astronauts, the first group selected by NASA. On May 5, 1961, he made history as the first American in space, piloting the Freedom 7 spacecraft on a 15-minute suborbital flight. Though brief, it was a monumental achievement and a major morale boost for the U.S. during the early days of the space race. In 1971, he commanded Apollo 14, becoming the fifth person, and the oldest at the time, to walk on the moon. While on the lunar surface, Shepard famously hit 2 golf balls with a makeshift club, adding a memorable human touch to the mission. He retired from the Navy and NASA in 1974 as a Rear Admiral, making him the only Mercury astronaut to reach flag rank.
Boy, do I feel old after watching that. That was just 1 year before I was born. 65 years ago today, Mercury Redstone 3, aka Freedom 7, was the first United States human spaceflight on May 5th, 1961, piloted by astronaut Alan Shepard. Where did time go? Seriously, the first human in space was a year before I was born. Folks, you had many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you very, very much. Whether you're watching us tonight on the YouTube channel, the Rumble channel, the X channel, over at Facebook, please like, subscribe, share it for your family and friends. Also, tell them about the Douglas Ducote Show. Let them know that if they have little ones in the room, every now and then Mr. Doug says 1 or 20 bad words. So keep that in mind. Keep the volume down, or wait till the little ones are asleep. Or wear headphones. Either way, it works great. Okay, let's get into talking about midterms. Right now, Republicans have, as you know, all 3 branches of government. And I have told you time and time again that the biggest problem with the Republican Party is that people don't get off their ass and vote for midterms. Republicans show up in droves for the presidential election. But with midterms, local elections, whether it's state, city, county, school boards, Republicans don't go out and vote, which is why we're kind of like screwed up as a country right now. All the liberal policies that are taking place all over the place is because of that one reason. So if we don't get out the vote at midterms, you can expect everything that Trump has done so far to go to shit. And we're going to go right back to the type country we were before he came into office, where everything was just screwed up. Now, I'm going to share something with you. And I want you to pay close attention to what is about to be said. And I'll be honest with you, it's got me a little worried, and it should you too.
There is new polling out that points to a certain advantage that one party might have in the midterms about 6 months away. The key word there being certain. CNN chief data analyst Harry Etten is certainly here. What are we talking about?
Dang it, he stole my line. He stole my line. Gosh darn it, Johnny B. Just take a look here. I think this is so important. Absolutely certain to vote in November. Look at this. You include Democrats, Democratic leaders. We're talking about 75% of them say those voters are absolutely certain to turn out to vote in November. Look at this. Significantly higher than the Republicans at 67%. That's an 8-point advantage right here. Why is that so important? Because zone out, look at the generic ballot. Who are you going to vote for come November? If you look at Democrats versus Republicans on the generic ballot, among all voters, it's Democrats up by 5. But look at that. Certain to vote, absolutely certain to vote. That lead goes through the roof. There's a 9-point advantage. So Democrats nearly double their lead on the generic ballot because their voters are far more certain to actually turn out and vote this November.
And this changes how you campaign, too. You get these guys, he's certain to vote to the polls, as opposed to persuading others. It just changes the dynamic when people say they're absolutely going to show up there. So what has history told us in terms of that party that has the advantage of certainty?
Okay, so this to me is what is so nutter butter, right? You see this Democratic advantage right here? I went back and looked at all the polling I could at about this point in the cycle. And what do we see? This is the first time since at least 2010 in which Democrats said they were more certain to vote in the midterm elections than Republicans. You can see that Democratic advantage here. In 2022, it was a Republican advantage. In 2018, it was tied, which of course was the first time that Donald Trump was not really on the ballot, but was in the minds of voters in a midterm election. It was tied back then. 2014 Republicans, 2010 Republicans. Of course, 2010, 2014, 2022 were all years in which Republicans went on to win the House of Representatives. And this year, extremely different, extremely unusual. Democrats are fired up to a historic degree, and that is why you see their lead nearly doubling on the generic ballot. And of course, we've seen that in the special election so far, where Democrats, of course, have been outrunning Kamala Harris by double digits in all of them.
They took back the House when they were just tied. This time, they're ahead. So what are the prediction markets saying about the Democratic chances today?
Yeah, okay, so you take a look, the chance that Democrats win the House according to the Cash prediction market. On January 1, it was 77%. April 28th, about a week ago, before, of course, the redistricting ruling from the Supreme Court came down, 85%. It's 79% today. A little bit down from where we were a week ago, but Democrats still in the catbird seat when it comes to taking back the House.
Probably.
Now, the good side of that, if there is a good side, is that when it comes to answering your phone for polls, Republicans and conservatives, for the most part, if we see a call coming in from a number we don't recognize, we don't answer it. We got better things to do. We just let it go into voicemail. And typically, when those polls are taking place and they're calling voters, it comes across as spam. Again, Republicans just don't answer it. Either way, what they just told you, and I believe it, is that the Democrat base, for those that are registered to vote, are energized about midterms. So, what happens if they take back the House and the Senate in midterms? Let's just go straight to driving off the cliff, shall we? Healthcare. Democrats will expand government-involved healthcare, strengthen the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, which is already broken, and support universal healthcare that you and I will be paying for. Democrats will place higher taxes on corporations, which is going to increase what you pay for goods. high-income earners to fund their liberal public programs. On climate change and energy, Democrats emphasize climate action, renewable energy, environmental regulations back into place, all electric vehicles, and to do away with fossil fuels, oil and gas. Gun policies. Democrats support stricter gun control to include the assault weapons ban. On immigration, Democrats want a pathway to citizenship for all undocumented immigrants and those that are here illegally, more lenient policies towards them. And they want to stop all deportations, and they want open borders. Abortion. Democrats support abortion rights and access all the way up to and including birth. When it comes to LGBTQ plus rights, Democrats want men and boys and women and girls sports, bathrooms, and locker rooms, which really isn't particularly LGBTQ type stuff. It's the drag queen type stuff. It's the transsexual type stuff. When it comes to education, Democrats favor more public school funding, send millions and millions of dollars more into failing schools. And they want all those liberal students that can't afford to pay their college education back to get it for free. Means you and I, once again, pay for it. Democrats support defunding the police, abolishing ICE and Border Patrol. They also want to cut a minimum of 25%, 50% if they can get away with it, from the military budget. They will stop Trump in his tracks with everything he's already done and is trying to do to make America great. And once again, tie him up in court with investigations after investigations after investigations, false accusations, and another impeachment. That's what you can expect if Republicans do not get off their ass and go out and vote at midterms. You got nobody to blame it on but yourself. Now, do I have a problem with the Republican Party? You bet you I do. Just like the Democrat Party. Democrats go, oh, we've got a great shitty idea. And the Republicans go, we can figure out how to make it shittier. Neither one of them really give a damn about you and I. And when I talk about all these policies that are going into effect, I'm not talking about the average Democrat voter out there that's just trying to work for a living and put food on the table and raise their family. No, I'm talking about those in Washington, D.C., those that are in charge of the Democrat Party. Those are the ones that want this crazy shit. And they will get it if they're voted in. If they take back the House and Senate, you bet your ass they're going to get it. And there'll be nothing we can do about it. We'll just have to live with the craziness. Now, let's talk about the craziness, shall we? Thank you. My wife just brought me my grenade cup of coffee. The White House ballroom. White House ballroom project that Trump has been telling us over and over and over again, to include his press secretary and all the members of his administration, that it will be privately funded. They already raised the money from billionaires. Not one penny will come from the backs of taxpayers, you and I. You've heard that, right? I've been defending the ballroom because of just that. It's something that we really do need, because when they have major events at the White House, they have to set up tents outside, and they hold the events under tents, like third world country shit. And that's embarrassing. So a big grand ballroom is a great idea for future presidents to be able to have a place when they have state leaders coming in and they have big events where it can be in climate controlled and safe. All that being said, Senate Republicans, that's right, Senate Republicans tucked an eye-popping figure into funding for security measures tied to Trump's ballroom. The GOP released legislation for its immigration enforcement-focused package late last night, setting the total spending at $72 billion. But it also includes $1 billion in taxpayer funding for the ballroom. Now, they say it's for security enhancements related to the ballroom. Republicans have largely kept an arm's length distance from the project, which Trump first announced last year. The construction drew criticism over the demolition of the East Wing and the flow of outside funding, which the administration has touted as a win for the taxpayers, because we're not paying for it. Or at least we weren't. But since the third apparent assassination attempt against Trump during the White House Correspondents Association dinner at the Washington Hilton last month, Republicans have jumped on the ballroom bandwagon. The funding is tucked into the Senate Judiciary Committee's portion of the reconciliation package, which tees up nearly $31 billion for ICE, $3.5 billion for Customs and Border Protection, $2.5 billion for the Department of Homeland Security, and just shy of $1.5 billion for the Department of Justice, the DOJ. Senate Judiciary Committee Chair Chuck Grassley, Republican Iowa, pitched his portion of the bill by bucking Democrats' desire for open borders and their push to defund the police. Republicans won't allow our country to be dragged backwards by Democrats' radical anti-law enforcement agenda, Grassley said in a statement. The funds won't actually go towards building the ballroom, but instead would be sent to Secret Service and is explicitly meant for security adjustments and upgrades for the ballroom and within the perimeter fence of the White House, relating to East Wing modernization program, including above and below ground security features. Notable, the measure sets guardrails on the funding so that none of the taxpayer money would be used for non-security elements of the East Wing modernization program. Adding funding of any kind for the ballroom could be a slight to some Republicans who want to use the latest reconciliation opportunity to go big on affordability issues, aid for farmers, or spending cuts, among several other wish list items. Senate Democrats are already going after GOP for including the project. Republicans are on a different planet than American families, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said on X. Republicans looked at families drowning in bills and decided they really needed was more raids and a Trump ballroom. Meanwhile, the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee, led by Senator Rand Paul, Republican Kentucky, also released its portion of the reconciliation bill, which tees up nearly $33 billion in funding. Paul's measure included over $19 billion for CBP, $7.5 billion for ICE, nearly $3.5 billion for border security, and $2.5 billion for the Department of Homeland Security. Senate Democrats refused to vote for a single dollar to secure our border or enforce our immigration laws, even against the most violent illegal aliens, Paul said in a statement. To make sure those vital functions are funded, my committee will vote later this month to provide the funding needed. So here is my take on this. Bullshit. We were told not a single penny would come from the American taxpayer. And if additional security-related items are needed by Secret Service as it relates to the ballroom, then it should have been thought prior to tearing down the East Wing and building this thing. Not to mention, the White House is the most secure place in America. And you're going to tell me you need $1 billion for extra security for the ballroom? Get the fuck out of here, Republicans. What kind of stupid shit is that? I don't get it. Sometimes I just can't wrap my fucking brain around the absolute stupidity up in Washington, D.C. with those two parties. The Democrats have got to be the most anti-American pieces of shit and racist as hell that exist that are leading the Democrat Party. And the Republican members of Congress are just a bunch of lazy-ass bullshit artists. And speaking of bullshit artists, Representative Alejandro Mar refused to respond to a request from Minnesota committee seeking more information on her ties to the massive fraud scandal in her state, prompting a failed subpoena vote today. But the committee's chair says more options exist. The subpoena, which requires a 2/3 committee vote in favor to pass, only got 5 out of the 6 votes needed, despite the committee's Republican majority. We have reached out to Representative Alejandro Mar on multiple occasions, inviting her to testify and invited and requested documents. State Representative Christy Robbins, chair of the House Fraud Prevention and State Agency Oversight Committee, said, "We have endeavored in multiple ways to get access to information because, as everyone knows, Representative Omar had some role, whether inadvertently or not. She passed the Mills Act in March of 2020, and it took the guardrails off the federal school nutrition program, which created the conditions for fraud. I do think the subpoena is important. This is one of dozens, if not hundreds of things we're investigating. We've had hundreds of whistleblower reports. They continue to come in weekly," Robbins said, noting she will continue to try to reach out to Omar's office to get cooperation. I know what you're thinking. I'm going to get there. Even though the committee will no longer have official hearings, we will continue to investigate these whistleblower reports and webs of fraud. They're fading, Robertson said of the committee's options after a failed subpoena vote. But I'll certainly talk to our friends in Congress and see if they would be willing to issue a subpoena. I don't know if they are, but they would have the same authority, and it's still relevant to them because it's a federal program that's been swindled. So I don't know if they would be willing to do it, but it's worth asking. Robinson added that the federal government has a whole menu of legal options, given that Omar is a member of Congress. They have so many investigations going on, I don't know where this falls on the priority list, Roberts says. Last month, Robbins said the congresswoman ghosted the committee by failing to appear to testify at a hearing focused on the Mills Act, a federal COVID-19 relief measure passed in 2020 and sponsored by Omar, which we know ripped off the taxpayer by billions and billions of dollars up there. Minnesota members of the House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee were disappointed that you failed to appear before our committee to answer questions. Robbins wrote before asking Omar to turn over communications showing how she promoted expanded access to federal child nutrition programs, including emails, texts, and meeting records with the Minnesota Department of Education and her constituents. The request also zeroed in on Omar's public promotion of a Minneapolis restaurant that later became linked to the program. Robinson cited a Somali language TV appearance in which Omar highlighted Safari Restaurant as a meal distribution site and asked for all communications related to the video and the restaurant's participation. Robinson is seeking record for any contact between Omar and a long list of individuals charged or implicated in defeating our future case, including nonprofit funder Amy Block and dozens of alleged co-conspirators. The deadline for Omar to respond to the committee's question is today, and they will do nothing about it. As I've said before, and I will say it again, where is President Donald J. Trump's Department of Justice and FBI on this issue? And why have they not started a full-blown investigation into that fucking terrorist? Why? Why is Ilhan Omar getting a pass by the Republicans? Why is Rashida Tlaib getting a pass? Cory Booker, Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Shifty Schiff. The list goes on and on and on of all the corruption that was done over the past 8+ years. Republicans finally take back all 3 branches of government and do nothing to hold them accountable. Nothing. President Trump said today that Project Freedom, the U.S. effort to secure ship movement through the Straits of Hormuz, will be paused temporarily following what he described in a post on Truth Social as significant progress towards a potential agreement with Iran. Based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, the tremendous military success that we have had during the campaign against the country of Iran, and additionally, the fact that great progress has been made towards a complete and final agreement with representatives of Iran, we eventually agreed that while the blockade will remain in full force, in effect, Project Freedom, the movement of ships through the Straits, will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed, Trump said. What the fuck, over? Finish the damn job. Finish the job. Unleash your military to finish the job. They're not going to negotiate with you in this administration or anybody else. They're going to continue to the last breath to defy anything from Western civilization. Continue to bomb the living shit out of that country and destroy everything it has that can be connected in any way, shape, or form to a military. How is it that they have small patrol boats still able to go out in the straits and lay mines and attack our vessels? How is it that they're calling the shots on what's going to go through the straits and not go through the straits? Here's what's going to happen. Until those ships can go through there unimpeded, because we're tied to the global market, the oil and gas prices are going to just keep going up. And then guess what's going to happen? Come midterms, that's it. Democrats are going to take back control. No, thank God we're still not at the prices that Biden put us at $5 a gallon for gas. But we're damn near close. If this continues on for another month, with summer approaching, you better believe we'll be paying over $5 a gallon for gas, average across America. Finish it. Destroy every fucking thing possible in that country that is in any way, shape, or form attached to their government or their military, and then get our troops home. Rhode Island lawmakers are back at it, pushing a sweeping gun ban that should set off alarm bells far beyond the ocean state. Their latest proposal, SB 2710, would outlaw the possession of some of the most commonly owned firearms in America, targeting semi-automatic rifles, semi-automatic pistols, and shotguns that millions of law-abiding citizens rely on for self-defense, sports, and tradition. What makes this proposal especially alarming is not just what it bans, but how it leaves enforcement hanging in the air. The bill is conspicuously silent on how the state intends to deal currently on firearms that would suddenly become illegal overnight. That silence is not reassuring. It opens the door to exactly the kind of heavily handed enforcement Americans have long rejected. The forced surrender or even door-to-door compensation of compensating of legal acquired property. For those trying to comply with forced confessions and so-called sell options is not an option at all. Lawful owners would be forced to sell their firearms to federally licensed dealers or qualified out-of-state buyers by the end of the year, triggering a rush liquidation that will inadvertently drive down prices. If gun owners comply with this law, they would sell their property at a substantial loss. And if they want to rearm after the law is struck down, they would end up paying twice for the gun that they already owned. In plain view, the government would be engineering a fire sale of constitutional conduct, stripping citizens not only of their rights, but of their property value as well. And the potential for forcible compensation were not enough. Rhode Island lawmakers are also advancing schemes to require gun owners to carry $1 million liability insurance policies if you own a gun. This has nothing to do with safety or anything to do with cost. It's a calculated effort to price ordinary Americans out of exercising a constitutional right, turning the Second Amendment into a luxury of good reserved for those who can afford to comply. We've seen this playbook many times before. Last year, Rhode Island banned the manufacturing and sale, purchase of these firearms, but allowed owners who previously acquired them to keep them. Now legislation wants to finish the job. Give gun control advocates an inch and they will take a mile, targeting commerce and firearms today and firearms already in your safe tomorrow. A detailed reports from the NRA, Institution of Legal Action, including Rhode Island Senate judiciary attack of the Second Amendment and extreme gun bill packages. This coordinated push threatens every ocean state gun owner and sets a precedent that could ripple towards a nationwide event if Democrats take back control. The slippery slope is unmistakably and will spread as do all ill-conceived gun control schemes to other states and ignore the Constitution. Anti-gun politicians understand they may someday lose in court. It was, after all, sweeping bans on handguns in Washington, D.C. and Chicago that ushered in the Supreme Court's Second Amendment resistance. And the reasoning of those cases applies equally well to common semi-automatic long guns, Americans' choice for defense purposes. But for firearm prohibitionists, the courtroom loss is besides the point. The process itself, passing the law, enforcing it until it's struck down, and forcing taxpayers to foot the legal bill is the strategy. It drains resources for their opponents, chills lawful conduct, and advances their agenda by attrition. It also diverts attention from the endless succession of lesser infringements that seek the death of the Second Amendment by thousands of cuts. Meanwhile, the real-world impact falls on very people whose gun ownership poses no threat to public safety. Responsible gun owners who follow the law, safeguard their firearms, and take seriously their duty to protect themselves and their families. Disarming them does nothing to stop violent criminals who, by definition, do not comply with gun bans. It simply leaves good people more vulnerable. And that, my friends, is what the Democrats want. That, my friends, is how they plan to do this. Midterms, they're right around the corner. Now, thankfully, somebody is being a little outspoken. Somebody that's a friend of every Democrat leader up in Washington, D.C. right now. Remember him? Former Congressman Barney Frank. Well, on Sunday, he warned Democrats of going too far left while dying in a hospice and congestive heart failure in Maine. He's 86 years old, and he's on his last leg. He was a liberal starlet who fought to legalize same-sex marriage and helped pass Dodd-Frank, the Wall Street regulations, after the 2008 financial crash. We didn't get to marriage until after these things happened and been resolved, Frank said on State of the Union. He added, And that's what I'm suggesting that we do today. He analyzed the males and female transsexuals playing in sports that are for women. Frank is set to release a book criticizing the far left wing of the Democrat Party, claiming that they have neglected more pressing issues like economic inequality and instead push for more progressive causes. The former lawmaker wants Democrats to be more strategic about pushing far left issues. Understand there's a lot of anger about that, he continued. And I think in the interests of transgender community, as well as others, it'd be better to go at it in a more gradual way and not simply announce that if you don't support it, you're homophobic. Frank served in the House of Representative for Massachusetts from 1981 to 2013. A new national poll released earlier this month is the latest to indicate that Democrats are facing major problems with their party's image as they try to win back congressional majorities from the Republicans in this year's midterms elections. Just 28% of Americans questioned in a CNN poll view the Democrat Party positive, with 56% suggesting Democrats in an unfavorable light. Now, all that being said, the good news. Over the past year, the Democrat Party has had more voters switch to either Republican or independent than ever in its entire history. Also, the Republican Party has had more people register to become a new Republican than at any time in its history. So, in the beginning of the show, we talked about the new CNN poll about Democrats talking about getting out there and voting. You've got that, and you've got what I just told you. The Democrats are losing voters. They've lost the Hispanic vote. They've lost the black vote. So they go for things like no voter ID, open borders, whatever they can to get people to vote for them. Because the average Democrat voter does not align with the Democrats' policies and future that's being controlled by the leadership in Washington, D.C. Now, if you know any Democrats that aren't into politics, that work, have children, raising a family, just ask them. Ask them point blank. Do you support open borders? Allow anybody in? If they say yes, then ask them why they have locks on their house, on their doors. Ask them if they support men and boys and girls' sports, locker rooms, and restrooms. They're going to tell you no. Ask them if they support massive amounts of drugs, especially fentanyl, coming across our southern border, and sex trafficking of women and children. They're going to tell you no. Ask them if they support defunding the police, cutting our military budget in half. They're going to tell you no. You see, the average Democrat voter out there does not realize what the leadership of the Democrat Party in Washington, D.C. is doing. And if they did, the Democrats would never fucking win again. There's no way. The party's been hijacked by far left liberal ideology, and it's no longer the Democrat Party that I used to belong to. I don't recognize them anymore. Just like I don't recognize the Republican Party anymore, which is why I'm no longer either one. I'm an independent. Because neither one of them parties give a shit about me or you. Sadly, there's nothing we can do about it as far as a third party. That's been tried and tried and tried and tried and tried, and it keeps failing. And when somebody does run on a separate ticket from Democrat or Republican, and people go vote for that person, it's just enough to sway in one way or the other for the Democrat or Republican. Take it away from one, give it to the other. So what it comes down to is you have to decide between whoever the two people happen to be, this Democrat or this Republican, which one of them are going to do what's right for you, your morals, your values, your beliefs, your family, the well-being and the security of our country, our nation, and America on the world stage. What experience do they bring to the table? What education do they bring to the table when it comes to real world things? Making things happen, shakers and movers, making things happen that fit with your goals. And it doesn't matter if it's got a D or an R after their name. That's who you have to vote for. And I truly, truly believe, having been a former Democrat and having been a former Republican, that anyone out there, except for the far left liberals and Democrat liberals, liberal Democrats, they will not align with the Democrat leadership up in Washington, D.C. Not no, but hell no. They would reject that, which is why it is so important that videos like mine, like tonight's show, when it goes up as just a regular video, that you share the living hell out of it across social media. We've got to continue to get the word out there to Democrat voters, what the leadership in their party, what they're voting for. What they're voting for. And if they see that and they understand that, I'm not saying take my word for it. I'm saying listen to what they're saying. Listen to the words coming out of the mouths of Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, AOC, Cory Booker, Hakeem Jeffries, Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, Jasmine Crockett. Listen to what they're saying. They're leading your party. Listen to what's coming out of their pie hole, and you will not align with that, I promise you. So we have to get that message out there and keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. That's all they have to do. They can see it and hear it on YouTube, on Rumble, on Facebook, on Instagram, anywhere on social media. They can click and they can listen to them give speeches. Here we are, just a few months out from midterms. Can anyone tell me what the Democrat Party in Washington, D.C. stands for, other than hate Trump, other than Trump's a pedophile, other than release the Epstein files, other than Trump is a racist, Trump is a bigot, Trump is going to destroy democracy, Trump is going to ruin America? All that crap. That's a lie. That's not true. Have you heard them say what they would do different to improve anything? No, you haven't, because they haven't. Their party, they're running on one thing: defeat Trump. They don't have a plan for anything else. Nothing. But defeat Trump and bring back all their fucking bullshit liberal policies, which is what fucked this country up for 4 years. It's of major importance that we, you and I, get the message out on social media. Pump it out. Keep pushing it out. Keep sharing videos from people like myself that you follow on social media. Because trust me, it's working. As I told you, we've got more people leaving the Democrat Party today than ever in its history. And that has to stay that way. There's little to nothing we can do right now with the Republican Party of fixing anything that they're fucking up between now and midterms. Nothing. I told you before the last election that if we win back the House, the Senate, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, it wasn't over with. The fight just began. We have to hold them accountable. I've tried. I'm doing everything in my power. What are you doing? I'm sending emails to members of Congress daily. I'm going on their social media platforms daily, expressing my disbelief in their inaction. I'm doing the same thing on their websites. Are you? Are you letting them know how you feel? If not, you need to start. Tonight would be a good time. We cannot afford for Democrats to take control of anything at midterms, not the House, not the Senate. It can't happen for the sake of this country. It is up to Republicans to make sure they don't. There are many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that I'm forever grateful. Thank you very much. Again, whether you're watching us tonight on the YouTube channel, the Rumble channel, the X channel, please like, subscribe, share it with your family and friends. Also, if you haven't already done so, check out DouglasDucote.com, our website, where you can see plenty of videos that you can't see on any of the other social media sites because, they would ban them. And you can also go to our store and you can buy merchandise if you're interested in any of that and helping support the channel. I'll be back on Thursday night for another show. I hope you will join me. Hope you will bring friends and family with you when you come to the show on Thursday night. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America, and may God bless each and every one of you. I'll see you again on Thursday night, my friends. Thank you, and God bless you. Hello, everyone. Douglas Ducote here. My new book, From Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back, is available now at Walmart, Amazon, Google, iTunes. Please check it out. I had the opportunity to either write about my 4 combat tours and the horrors of war like everyone else does, or I chose to write about the humorous side of military service. So there are stories about things that I experienced in Operation Desert Storm and Operation Just Cause down in Panama, and everything in between. The funny things that I went through and I lived through, the things that require basically a sixth sense of humor to get by. So this is a great gift for anyone that you know that's served in the United States military, as well as those that just like to read things that are funny. My whole purpose was to make you laugh. And if this book, From Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back, makes you laugh, then it was worth my time and effort in writing it. So please check it out. You can buy the book starting today at Walmart, Amazon, Google, iTunes, and Barnes & Noble. Thank you and God bless.